All right, so we got the 241 spoilers, and I don't even know where to begin with this chapter. I'm just going to go through it, and then I'll talk about it, I suppose. So, coming off at the end of the previous chapter, we saw Takaba taking on Kenjaku, and it was looking pretty good for Takaba at first. He does have that crazy comedian curse technique that allows him to essentially alter reality based on what he thinks is funny or not, but he doesn't really have a control over it. Kenjaku kind of figured that out, realized that confidence is a key in that reality manipulation, and he played that to his strengths and just outsmarted Takaba, since Takaba obviously isn't the smartest individual here, and Kenjaku is like one of the smartest people to ever live, I suppose. We saw coming into the end of that chapter that Takaba was fearing for his own life as he realized that he was going to lose to Kenjaku. And that brings us into this chapter that starts with a flashback of when Takaba was in his university days. Teen Takaba is seen yelling at his friend for arriving late. Both of them then rehearse for their show, but Takaba's friend fails to remember the lines since he hasn't memorized them. Takaba's friend apologizes, but Takaba starts yelling at him, saying that he, the friend, doesn't really feel sorry and insists that his friend should say sorry. Takaba's friend snaps and starts to yell back, saying that he supports Takaba because he seems so unfriendly. And the friend says, "You don't come to the drinking parties. You don't laugh at other people's jokes." And Takaba says, "I'll laugh if they're actually funny." And the friend says, "It's because of that you don't get picked up on by our senpai." So yeah, we're in Takaba's hardcore flashback here. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. It's not really that interesting. I'm sorry. I'm just going to put it out here. So you can just skip ahead in this video, I suppose, if you don't want to hear me talking about Takaba's backstory, because he does eventually fight Kenjaku again. So yeah, but I'm still going to read it anyway. Takaba then gets angry at his friend for blaming him for being late to the practice, because they don't even do shows twice a year, and their jokes are expired from being reused. Takaba punches his friend as the latter asks if Takaba is jealous, since he's not popular with women. Takaba says, "I'm just trying to tell you that we should actually be serious about comedy, idiot." And the friend says, "It's not fun doing comedy with you. How would viewers laugh when even we can?" And Takaba punches like super hard. Like he's throwing like a Hajime no Ippo type punch here. The scene then switches to Takaba with an afro reading comments on him. One of which says, "Before the act, I felt gross. You should die." His colleague tries to console him, saying that it's impossible to make everyone think that a joke's funny. So, in case you're unaware, Takaba, before he joined the Calling Games, was like an awful comedian. I mean, you can see his humor. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Fume. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. Guys, I'll be straight up. I particularly do not have a bad habit that I would use Fume for. I mainly wanted to partner with Fume for you guys. That's because my demo is 18 to 34. And statistically, a lot of you probably have some bad habits. And you know what I mean. Some of you are really knee-deep in those bad habits. And I would really like to help you guys turn those bad habits into good habits. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to use it personally. I mean, now that I have it, why wouldn't I? I really do like the twisting mechanism on this thing. It is kind of like a fidget toy for sure. And now that I've tried it, it's pretty refreshing, like surprisingly refreshing. And as it says here, it pretty much is literally flavored air. Fume actually has 3 new flavors: raspberry lemon, sparkling grapefruit, and orange vanilla. I tried all of them and they were absolutely fantastic. It's like they somehow converted these great summer flavors into oxygen. It's like taking in a refreshing, delicious breeze every time. But also the Fume Solano is launching on November 6th, so you can upgrade your journey pack to the Solano to enjoy the premium walnut barrel and onyx black coated mouthpiece that has a slightly softer finish. And trust me, I know, stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. So join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com/Zhoniin or scan the QR code and use code Zhoniin to get 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code Zhoniin to save an additional 10% off on your order today. Thanks, guys. Even, by universal standards, you don't really have to be Japanese to understand it. It's just awful. But he's like the kind that just won't give up, even if he is awful, because he's just so unrelentingly passionate about it. Like the first introduction that we got to Takaba, he was like bombing on stage and he said something about 70-30, something like that. I forget the exact number, but it made us think that he inherited Nanami's curse technique, and that obviously didn't turn out. He has his own reality warping one, but apparently 70-30 or whatever the numbers were was some kind of Japanese joke or something. Scene switches again as we see Takaba's friend talks about quitting. Takaba tries to encourage, but his friend snaps at him, yelling that our classmates have a decent position at work. We got a wife and a child. Until when we are going to continue this? I'm sorry for the translation here. English is not their first language, so it's fine. But what's getting across here is that Takaba is wearing a toupee with a swan coming out of the area that we can't talk about on YouTube, and his buddy's got it, wearing it with him too, and the friend's just we're in our 30s now, we need to give up this dream of trying to be comedians. I'm assuming he's 30 at this point, because I think currently in the story he's 36, and he looks relatively close to his form currently. Scene switches. We see Takaba alone in his room. He wishes that he can be on shows as a regular member for skits and more like that. Takaba is thinking about until when should he continue this. It's until you think you have done everything that's funny. Takaba says he was lonely. He tried to be as funny as he can to get everyone to laugh at him, and he was happy because he got more and more friends, but never a partner for himself. Takaba's resolve was, I want others to know more about me. If they know more about me, they will think even more funny. Then I won't feel lonely anymore. We then see Takaba asking what doing comedy seriously means. The kid again asks, why are you even doing comedy? Takaba says he started comedy because he wanted everyone to know him better. Takaba says that I was being delusional just to affirm my thoughts. I wasn't being face to face with comedy. When did I stop doing comedy seriously? It was because I didn't want to hurt myself. Back to reality. Kenjaku is about to attack Takaba, but he suddenly halts, looking at the way Takaba is bowing. Kenjaku is mesmerized by Takaba's dogaza. Kenjaku says, beautiful, this is a dogaza straight from the heart. I was in my late 20s when I reached this level. Wait, what am I even saying? And Takaba says, I'm sorry. So a dogaza is when Japanese people do that super extreme bow where their knees are on the ground and their heads are just completely digging into the ground and they're super sorry. It's the ultimate form of apology in Japan. It really means a lot to them apparently, and Takaba is doing the ultimate dogaza. The way that Gege draws it here is having Takaba literally become a Fibonacci sequence. It's a pretty funny sequence, to be honest. It's probably the funniest Takaba sequence so far, and it even gets a little rise out of Kenjaku, who says I was in my late 20s when I reached this level, which is insane because he's over 1,000 years old. And apparently this is Takaba's comeback, because he's I lied. I don't think it's fine if my jokes are funny for people except you. I didn't want to get hurt. I discarded you to protect myself. I'll make every last person laugh. I won't be satisfied even if I make 99 out of 100 people laugh. And that's why Takaba promises that he'll make Kenjaku laugh until he throws up his stomach. That's his way of comedy. Kenjaku asks if he's able to do it, but Takaba's curse technique is back, as he writes Waku Waku, which means excited, on Kenjaku's face. So this is a pretty interesting turnaround. we for sure thought Takaba was dead to rights at the end of the previous chapter, but no, he's having that flashback comeback here. And it seems like his I want to become King of the Pirates thing is that he wants to make everybody laugh, which maybe he will, maybe he won't. I mean, Sukuna versus Gojo was being broadcasted via live stream to not the world, but to the underground jujitsu bracket. So I don't know, technically Takaba can get some kind of viral moment here and make everyone laugh. Maybe his dream will come to fruition, but it's making me think more and more that Takaba is probably going to die here, which is unfortunate because he is a cool character, but I'm not going to lie, his backstory isn't making me really like him anymore. Like, it's kind of boring. But what he says about here with making Kenjaku laugh until he throws up his stomach, that's probably going to happen, because if he thinks that that is funny, because he says that's his way of comedy, then it can actually happen. And I don't know if that's going to kill Kenjaku, but it might make him brain swap to another person. Oh, what if he brain swaps to Takaba? No, that's a little too fan fiction-y. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, guys. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And of course, I'm going to review the full release of the chapter whenever we get it. I'm probably not going to make any more sense of this chapter, but we'll see what happens. And subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. See you next one.